everybody. What's happening? What is it? It's Friday, August the 16th, August the 18th, 2023, 1:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day. The video game releases today. Are you excited about it? Are you gonna watch it? Are you not gonna watch it? Are you gonna play it? Apparently it's releasing on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, for the PC as well. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. But apparently it's not going to suffer the same issues as the Friday the 13th game did with rights and all that kind of stuff. So you are good. It ain't going anywhere. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game is released today. Why is it Texas Chainsaw Day? It's not because of the game. It's because the movie itself, I believe it takes place on August the 18th, 1973. Of course, the movie was released at the beginning of October of 1974. But the actual film released, or the actual movie, the story itself takes place on August 18th, 1973. Wanted to give some love to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre today. What's going on, everybody? Great to see you all here. Thanks for joining us for episode 222 of McRae Live and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day. That's right. Are you a gamer? Are you a big fan of games? People have been asking me, Dave, are you going to play the game? And it's like, well, I don't have a PS4 anymore, and I don't have a PS5, and I don't have an Xbox One, and I don't have an Xbox Series X, whatever it is. I have a PC, but I'm not set up to play really games on. So no, I will not be playing. Although I would love to play the game, I really would love to play the game, but I got to get my hands on a PS5. I've been meaning to do that for a while. I just haven't gotten around to it. But then again, that also seems kind of. Because I'm also not a game, why would I get the PS? Although I do like my NHL hockey. I do like that. That's true. Would it be worth it? I got to justify the cost because it's still like, well, here in Canada anyway, it's still like $500 or $600. I'm like, well, for something I'm hardly going to play. Like, I'm not a gamer, right? You know what I mean? If you're a gamer and you're playing all the latest and greatest games, well, yeah, you'll be, you know, you get a little mileage on that thing. For me, you know, when I had my PS4, I played Grand Theft Auto, which I really liked, and I liked my hockey, but that was about it. And sometimes months would go by and I wouldn't even turn on my PS4. And it's like new. It's like I've had it for like, you know, like a year. It's like brand new. And so I don't really want to do that for the PS5, although I'd love to get the PS5. Maybe I will anyway. What the hell? I don't know. But no, I will not be playing it today because I have no means to play it. But I'd love to play it, but I'm excited for those who will be playing it. You'll have to let me know what it's like and how it goes and all that kind of stuff. Also, too, just to let you know, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. We have 70 members that have joined the channel here. Channel membership has only been available for the last 12 days, and we've already got 70 members. Amazing. My goal is to get to 100 by Halloween time. That's my goal, and I think it's totally doable. That's only 30 more. The link is in the description. Like I said, it's also pinned to the top of the chat room. If you want to become a channel member here on the channel for exclusive shows, exclusive perks, get your name highlighted in the chat, exclusive badges and emojis and polls and contests and images and all that kind of fun stuff. There's two tiers. There's tier number 1, there's tier number 2. So check it out if you want to get in on the action. We're closing on 100, which is really, really cool. So hopefully we can get there before Halloween time. There's an all Halloween show called One Good Scare, member only Q&A, a horror movie nights, watch along party exclusive to members, images, all that kind of stuff. Check it out when you have the chance because we want to get there. We want to get there to 100. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, does not celebrate its 40th anniversary until next year, same sort of time as Black Christmas, of course. But nonetheless, I mean, very exciting that the game is being released. Like I said, it's not going to suffer the same consequences and issues as the Friday the 13th game. At least that's what I'm reading online, because obviously that's one of the number one sort of issues that a lot of people have had. Is there going to be a problem with it? All that kind of stuff. Apparently the answer is no, which is great. Which is great. So very, very excited about that. Well, at least for those of you that, where that really matters. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Kane Hodder play Leatherface in this game? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right on that. Hey, Power Packers 90, my man, Power Packers 90 joins level number 2, new channel member. Power Packers 90 becomes a part of McRae level number 2. Welcome, Power Packers 90. Great to have you on board. See, it's as easy as that, folks. It's as easy as that. Check out which tier you fancy and which aligns with you, and come join the exclusive party. I've already shared some exclusive images from Dylan's New Nightmare, some BTS stuff, and I plan on sharing more. Again, we're only 12 days old. I mean, we haven't even had our exclusive shows yet. Our first member show, I think, is next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, and then we got the horror watch along that's coming up. I still have to set a date for the One Good Scare Halloween show, but I've been asking some people their thoughts on some topics. That's where we can talk Halloween and not feel guilty about it. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm not going to talk Halloween for everybody else here on the channel as well. Of course we will. Of course we will. But that's like an exclusive Halloween kind of show where we can, just dive into the nitty gritty and all that kind of stuff. And very pleased with the turnout so far. So yeah, the link is in the pin to the top of the chat. But and next year, of course, we'll do an official celebration for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre turning 40, just as we will for Black Christmas. That's going to be a big one, because obviously next year it's Me Billy Chapter 2, the 50 years, not 40 years, 50 years, excuse me. Next year is the 50th year anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the 50th anniversary for Black Christmas. And of course, I mean, that's going to be a huge year for Black Christmas. It's Me Billy Chapter 2, the whole thing. Going to be a lot of great stuff coming down the pipe. Coming down the pipe. So very excited for that. And yeah, just one of those things that I'm it's funny. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not one of those movies that I'm goo goo gaga over, but I recognize its cultural significance. I think it is the first movie. I think it is good. When you think of its low budget and it's sort of, I don't know if I'd call the original Texas Chainsaw exploitative, although it would be more exploitative than, say, something like Black Christmas. But the ironic thing is that you have a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but yet there's no blood in it. Now, when I say there's no blood in it, I mean, obviously there's little, when I say there's no blood, I'm talking about gratuitous, right? There's nothing, you could say there's no blood in the original Halloween, but then you'll have, the people going, well, technically, you do see a little bit of blood on the guy lying in the field, and you do see a little bit of blood on Laurie Strode's arm after she gets stabbed. So technically, there is a little bit of, it's like, yes, technically that is true. But for a movie that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're expecting blood, guts, and gore. And there isn't any of that, which is sort of surprising in some ways. But even when he kills Franklin, it's just a bunch of, and you kind of have to kind of imagine it. But I recognize it does have a gritty feel to it, a very gritty, raw, vibe to it. For sure. It's a low budget horror movie shot in the early 70s. Was it shot on 16 or was it 35? I think it was probably still 35, but the film stock and the grain and how they process. I mean, it's got that old kind of raw, there's a rawness to it. Right. And I appreciate it for that. I appreciate it for that. I can certainly watch it, and I appreciate it for that. And then, of course, the end of the movie with the, the family and the cannibalism and the just how crazy it gets with Sally Hardesty and everything, and how she's screaming and the running through the nighttime. It's pretty fun. Like, I can imagine watching that movie in the theater in 1974 and being like blown away 100% as like a teenager. Like, oh yeah, I would have been eating that up. But I've never really liked any of the sequels. Now, the remake from 2003, I think it is, right? Is it celebrating its 20th year this year? Is it 3 or 4? I think it's 3. Wow. Is, I think, the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre film since the original. And some even say that it's better than the original. And I think there is an argument to be made there, for sure. I think there is an argument to be made there. But I've never really liked any of the sequels. I'm not even a big fan of Texas Chainsaw at the beginning. It's fine. It's just more of the same of the 03 one. And then, Texas Chainsaw 3D, Leatherface. They've never really been able to turn the Texas Chainsaw Massacre into a successful franchise in terms of like sequels being good. Because I think really at the end of the day, the heart of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't think it's sequel worthy. I think once you've sort of, especially because the kind of story it is, and it's just, I just don't think it's fit for a bunch of sequels necessarily. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is such a departure in terms of tone and style from the original. It's almost like they didn't know what to do, right? And so they went and made a campy comedy. And it's just like, I don't know. He's one of the Titans. Leatherface is definitely one of the Titans for sure. Whether he's on your horror Mount Rushmore is an argument to be made. There are some people that would put him on there. Usually the general consensus is, Freddy, Jason, Michael, like those are the staples, but it's always who's that fourth one, right? And some people will put Leatherface on there. Some people might want to put Ghostface on there. Chucky, I think you would find people that would put, usually it's Chucky, Ghostface, or Leatherface, I think are the three sort of, ones that people circulate, and it really depends on who you are, at the end of the day. I think there is in terms of, well, I think there is an argument to be made in terms of pop culture zeitgeist impact that there is an argument to be made. You can formulate an argument that Ghostface deserves it more than Leatherface. But certainly, Leatherface's impact on the horror B-movie subgenre is big. And especially that first movie. It's that first movie that is really revered the most. I don't particularly see people, and the remake from 03, I don't particularly see people talking about the any of the sequels really with any sort of fanfare at the end of the day. But I just wanted to show some love for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre today. Again, August the 18th, 1973. Not the year the movie was, the year and date the movie was released. It's the year and date the movie takes place in. The story, I believe, if by everything I'm seeing anyway, August the 18th, 1973. But the movie wasn't released until the beginning of October 1974, so 50 years next year. But fascinating stuff indeed. Super chat from Amaducia sends in $5. Thank you, Amaducia. Says, hey, Dave, if you could raise a glass to my mom who passed away on the 14th. She was the reason for my love of horror film and loved watching your channel. You know what? Absolutely. I don't have a glass here, but I'll raise a bottle to your mom. Rest in peace, Amaducius' mother. I lost my mom 12 years ago, and my dad, both of them, in 2011. So I know what it's like. I know the hardship, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's a very tricky thing. But just do your best to surround yourself with friends and family and you will get through it. The days will get easier. Your mom's looking down on you, proud of you, and would want you to go on, right? Not go on and, sort of not caring, but certainly to go on and to do her proud. So I have no doubt that she would want that for you for sure, as any good mom would, for sure. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very sorry to hear that, man. Very sorry to hear that. Was that the only super chat that came in? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I think it was. It is. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Is it a movie that you do you, like the original now from 1974? Do you really like it? Is it something that, do you watch it often? Is it in your circulation? Is it in your rotation? Let me know. Miss Carter says Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really good at letting your imagination fill in the horror. Well, that's that theater of the mind, right? Yeah, it's a lot of, I like that kind of stuff. I like the, the theater of the mind, stuff. I think it's good stuff. It's good stuff, right? It's my favorite for sure. Johnny Cahill says, I heard that Tobe Hooper intended the first movie to be perceived as a horror comedy. Of course, it isn't. And as such, the following sequels became more comedic to align with his original intention. I've never heard that, but that could very well be the case. I just never, Texas Chainsaw, I don't know. It's again, I like the first movie for what it is. I really do like the remake from 2003. I think it still holds up. I think it's one of the best horror remakes of all time. It'll sit comfortably on a shelf next to Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, The Ring from 2002, which of course is the remake of the Japanese film from 1998. And I think you could put the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003 with Jessica Biel. Platinum Dunes is Texas Chainsaw. I think you can put that on that shelf as a great remake for sure. I think you could. For sure. Tony Spagali, am I saying that right? One of our great channel members here says, I like the movie, Dave, but not as rewatchable as other horror movies to me. No, I agree with that. I mean, it's very low budget and it's fine, and I understand why it receives the recognition it does. And certainly it makes sense. It makes sense. Christian Blizzard says, love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the 2003 version. I remember sitting in the theater for the 2003 one and could hear a pin drop and see everyone's jaw on the floor through the whole movie. Yeah, I went to see it in the theater when it came out too. And I don't really have any concrete memories of the experience, but I remember liking it. And I remember really liking it. And I think a lot of people, it's a great remake. Texas Chainsaw, The Beginning from 2006. It's fine. It's just more of the, I don't know why they did that. There was a trend in the mid 2000s. You had Batman Begins. Although I guess you can't really include that. That doesn't really count. But you certainly had Exorcist, The Beginning. You had Texas Chainsaw, The Beginning. There's not a lot, but there was a few movies that decided to do that. And I remember thinking, why? I don't understand this obsessive. I think what it is what ends up happening is that you will, it's almost like, I think there's a couple, and again, I have no concrete evidence for this because it may be more subconscious and psychological rather than intentional by the studios and the production companies, although it could be absolutely intentional too, is that, going back instead of continuing to go forward a couple things can happen. It can allow, it actually positions the filmmakers and the storytellers in a position, sets them up in a position to continue the franchise, because that's what you are doing. But psychologically, it might come across as less eye-rolling to fans because, well, no, this isn't a sequel. This is a prequel. So we're going back and maybe being able to market a prequel to a series that's already got 5 sequels. It doesn't feel, it might feel less, another one. I mean, to the average movie fan, they're not going to know the difference, right? But I don't know. I've sometimes thought that. I've sometimes thought, why, but that just might be a byproduct of it. What it really is at the end of the day is that they've run out of ideas. They don't know where to take it. They're about to enter silly territory, a la Freddy's dead, Jason goes to hell. And they decide, well, why don't we go back? Why don't we go back and tell a new story? But, and in some ways it does open things up creatively a little bit, especially when the mythology and backstory of said franchise is not fleshed out. You know what I mean? You might have some basic things, right? Like take Jason, right? We know that he was at a camp and he drowned. We know that his mother was the cook there or whatever. And we know some basic things, right? Some basic sort of things. But we've never truly had that fleshed out. Maybe Crystal Lake will be doing that, the new TV series. Maybe, I don't know. But we've never really had that fleshed out. I mean, fully fleshed out, right? There's a lot of So when you run out of ideas moving forward and you start to realize you're getting into the weird and unusual, you go, well, hang on a second. Why don't we go back and do prequel? The problem is that with prequels is that, depending on how far you go back, you've limited yourself to one movie, really, at the end of the day, unless you're going all the way back. But now you're starting to build mythology that didn't even exist. Usually you want to tackle the mythology that fans know there's a blueprint of, so there's that emotional connection and attachment to the, you know what I mean? And it's easier to market and all that kind of stuff. Rather than going back, 40 years before even Jason's mom was alive. And what the hell are we doing, babe? That's why you don't see that. But it's limited because then you're going to quickly find yourself even in the prequel running up to the first movie, and now you don't know where to go, and that's usually when everything just dies. But series and television is interesting. I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but sometimes things in the chat will get me thinking, and I'll start going off because I've never been a big fan of prequels. Never. I just never have. I just never have. I was one of those kids in the 90s that when I found out they were doing new Star Wars movies, I was like, yeah, but then I found out that he's going back. I'm like, why? I was like, I don't know if I was the only one, but it felt like I was the only one. I felt like I was the only teenager in the 90s that was like, I don't give a shit how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. Like, I couldn't give a frog's fat ass to watch that story. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, I just don't care. He just is. He just is. I got all I needed to know from the first Star Wars movie, from Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's it. I don't give a frog's fat ass to see that. I just don't care. I don't care. But I recognize that a lot of people didn't do. But I just was like, I don't care. I want to go on and see Han, Luke, and I'm already emotionally attached to those characters. So I want to go back and revisit now I don't want to, I know. I've never been big on that, right? And the term prequel really wasn't a thing before the Star Wars prequels. Like in the vernacular, in the zeitgeist, in the pop culture. Now it's a thing. It's a marketing tool now. Thanks to Star Wars mostly. And it's not that you can't make stories, prequels, good and great, and it's not that you can't do that, but I've always found that with in movies and series, what usually ends up happening is that a series will grow tired and then they'll do a prequel, and they're only doing a prequel to keep the franchise going because it's popular, it's in the zeitgeist, and they've run out of ideas to move forward. Well, it's still making money, so why don't we do a prequel instead? And that'll kind of make it seem like it's fresh and new and exciting and different and edgy because it's a prequel. No, it's not a sequel. It's not that tired run-of-the-mill movie after movie after movie after movie after movie after movie. No. This is before. This is new. This is, look, it's just it's a sleight of hand. It's just an illusion. It's another fucking sequel. That's what it is. But it's a prequel. Yeah, it's a prequel, sure. It's a story that happens before, but it's another fucking movie in the franchise. You know what I mean? So I know. Party pooper Dave, I'm on my soapbox now. But I'm just one of those people that's just like, end it. That's why some people are like, are you going to do It's Me, Billy Chapter 3? No. Of course, I realize that if I was a studio and this was a big production and It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 made $150 million at the box office, I'd have no say in the matter. They'd be like, hey, well, listen, Dave, you can either do It's Me, Billy Chapter 3, or we can find somebody else to do It's Me, Billy Chapter 3, but there will be a It's Me, Billy Chapter 3. Because we just made $150 million. So what do you want? That's the face. Anyway. Super chat comes in from Michael Dammit, one of our great channel members here. Michael Dammit sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that. Says, Dave, I will tell you like I told Darren last week. After he erroneously quoted me as saying something about the movie that I never said. I've never seen the original. Never seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? There's nothing wrong with that. There's lots of movies I haven't seen, that people be like, what? Yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't find that strange. Yeah, I don't. I think that makes sense to me in some ways. I'd sit down and watch it, there's some movies that you should sit down and watch just because they're pop culture zeitgeist films, right? And in the horror, like if you're a horror fan and you love horror movies, then definitely the Texas Chainsaw is one of those movies that you should probably sit down and watch just so you've seen it. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that you haven't seen it's not all that surprising. I'm trying to think of some that people would be like, you haven't seen that? Can't think. I'm trying to think of like a horror movie that's really like big that I haven't seen. I've usually in big horror series, I've usually seen at least one, like the first one or something. But like I said, I mean, I haven't seen Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, Curse of Chucky. I haven't seen any of those. I've only seen the first Hellraiser. Never seen a Pumpkinhead. What else? Leprechaun. I think I've seen the first one or bits and pieces of the one with Jennifer Aniston, but I haven't seen any of the others. Yeah, there's lots of stuff, right? Like everybody's different and how certain movies get into the Rolodex of certain, it's different, right? So that's not surprising. Let me see. Chris Snyder, one of our great members here, says, I'm not the biggest fan of the idea of prequels, but there have been some that have been quite good. Yeah, I'd have to think of, if you can think of any off the top of your head, Chris, feel free to throw them into the, of course, what's good and what isn't will be totally dependent on the person, but I'm trying to think of prequels, unless we're talking about just like prequels in general, then that, and we're going to include like superhero movies and action movies and, because you could say that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom technically is a prequel because it takes place in 1935, whereas Raiders of the Lost Ark takes place in 1936. And it's like, yeah, I guess if we want to just broaden it to every genre, yeah, for sure, absolutely. But you see, Temple of Doom, and it was the sequel to Raiders, right? But it was a prequel. The problem with horror franchises, although they didn't do this with Texas Chainsaw at the beginning, was usually they'll introduce a prequel after. It's usually because they don't know what else to do. So they go back. They just don't know what to do. So they, and I just, I don't know. I'm not completely against the idea, but it's gotta make sense. It's gotta make sense. Gotta be something juicy. Something juicy. Red Dragon. Yeah. Red Dragon was good. Yep. It was good. Jim Dorsey, one of our great channel members, says, Dave, have you ever done a top 10 favorite PG-13 horror movie list show? I don't think I have. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, and there'll be some great ones on there. The Ring, Insidious, the others. There's some great ones on there, for sure. Signs is PG-13. Room 1408 is PG-13. Be some good ones on there. Really good ones. Should do that. Yeah, The Ring's great. Ring is great. It burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. Underworld Rise of the Lycans is an underrated movie. I've never seen any of the Underworld movies, so I cannot speak to it. I've never seen. Guitarist Dog 87 says, I never saw any of the Children of the Corn sequels. I never did either. I've seen the first one. I've never seen any of the sequels. Apparently there's like 38,000 of them. I don't know. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, I love John Carpenter's Vampires from 1998. Great movie, good cast. You definitely need to get a chance to watch that movie. James Wood. Oh, I've seen it years ago. I'm not a big fan of Carpenter's later films. I'm not a big fan. Carpenter's hit and miss with me. I find that some of his movies are okay. And then others I'm just like, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of his later 90s stuff. I think really the last movie I like, In the Mouth of Madness, I thought was all right. That was 95. Beyond that, I'm not big on Carpenter's. There's some classics there for sure. Halloween, The Thing, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China. There's some good ones in there, but he's also got some ones that I'm not a fan of. And Vampires, I haven't seen Vampires probably since it came out. Let me scroll back. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I don't believe I did. All right. Texas Chainsaw. So yeah, is anybody going to be playing the Texas Chainsaw video game? Anybody in the chat going to be playing the Texas Chainsaw video game? You got a PS4 or a PS5, or how does that go? Are you excited? Do you want to play it? Are you a gamer? Something you want to play? Let me know if you're going to be playing the Texas Chainsaw video game. And if you're watching this after the fact, jump into the comment section and let me know as well. Super chat from John Dez sends in $4.99, says, Dave, have you ever watched 2001 Hannibal film? Yeah, long time ago. It's my favorite entry in the franchise. What is yours? Well, you know what? I'm probably going to go with, because I'm not as familiar with the Hannibal the franchise. I haven't seen Red Dragon in years. Hannibal I did see when it came out, but I haven't seen it probably since then. So I don't know if I'm qualified to really say. I don't really know because I really haven't been keeping up on it. Silence of the Lambs obviously is the classic. I did see that just a few years ago. I've seen it, obviously I've seen it many times, but I watched it most recently a couple of years ago, maybe during the pandemic. And it was as great as I, remember it being. So, but I don't remember the other ones I've seen enough to be able to formulate a opinion, really, to be honest with you. Not entirely sure. Ba-da-ba-ba. Hey, Cody Leach! Cody Leach, one of our great guest moderators. Cody Leach is here, and he says, I'll be live stream playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game tonight on the Game Chamber channel. Honestly, I'm not expecting much. These multiplayer horror games are all the same to me. Is that your channel? The Game Chamber channel? Very cool. If it is, guys, and you're a gamer, head over to this channel, Cody Leach's gaming channel, and subscribe and check it out tonight. What time is that going to be? Cody, are you in Eastern time? I'm on Eastern time. I think you're on Eastern time too, right? I think. Maybe you're an hour behind me. I'm not sure. It's 1:48 for me here. But yeah, let me know, or let everybody in the chat room know. And I might have to tune into that tonight. Yeah, I might have to tune in and see how it goes. I'll be very curious. You play a lot more games than I do, so I'll be very curious to get your thoughts on it, on the gameplay, on the, and how it looks. Now, I'm assuming you'll have it up on the screen as well, so we'll be able to see it. That's really cool. Jason Stillwell, one of our great members, Jason Stillwell, sends in $10. Thank you, Jason. And he says, excuse me, I hear what you're saying. But what if they did a Freddy origin story that focuses on the search for the Springwood slasher leading to the arrest, dropping charges, and his death, then start anew in 2? I love the idea, but I think that's something that would work best in streaming format, not as a film, not as a 90-minute movie. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but I was talking about like movies, right? Like prequels in the sense of movies. I've never, and it's just my opinion, I find, generally speaking, prequel horror movies go nowhere. They go nowhere, generally. However, you take a story like Freddy Krueger that's just rich with backstory and all that kind of stuff. Backstory that is yet to be explored. Right? Again, we have tidbits of those, of that information, but it's yet to be really fleshed out. I think streaming is really where Freddy needs to be, personally. Now, they're going to likely want to cash in on the nostalgia and those box office dollars, and I get that. But if you wanted to do a prequel, okay, a prequel series to Elm Street, telling the story of Fred Krueger. And to your point, maybe the whole first season is that, right? Well, you could get 8 or 10 hours instead of a 90-minute movie. Think about that. You could have a 10-hour movie or an 8-hour movie, or even if it was 6 episodes, a 6-hour movie. You could have, let's say, a 6 to 8-hour movie, because each episode, let's say, is an hour long, right? 45 minutes, 55 minutes, somewhere in there, give or take. But basically, you're going to have like a 6 to 8-hour movie telling the story of Fred Krueger leading up to the end of season 1, which ends on a massive cliffhanger, maybe the burning of him from the parents, which is the catalyst that sets up season 2. Who knows? I'm just throwing shit out there, right? Not saying they're going to do that, but think about all that time you could have. And the drama and the character arcs and the, like, really just taking your time with it, fleshing it out, making it really rich and interesting and scary and frightening. You could do that. And it's a prequel, but it's television series. It gives you the format of television or streaming, allows the writers and the filmmakers more of the breathing room that they need to flesh things out, rather than to pack everything into a 90-minute movie or even a 2-hour movie. You know what I mean? And, it's very rare that you're going to get a prequel horror movie about Freddy Krueger that's going to last 5 or 6 movies. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to want to do that because they're going to want to bring Freddy back faster, right? So you're unlikely to get a 5 or 6 or even a trilogy movie arc of Freddy Krueger not burned, just telling the story. You're unlikely to get that because they want to get to Freddy, right? They want to get to burn Freddy. So you might get a 90-minute movie But where's that going to go? Is that going to be good? I don't know. Can you tell that story in 90 minutes? Maybe you can. But it would excite me more, depending on who was doing it as well, if, to your point, you do a series and that whole first season is, we're introduced to Fred, we find out about him, we go through the whole thing about the kids and this and the hunt for who the killer is and all that stuff. I mean, that'd be great drama. Be a great thriller series, first season. And that second season, or at the end of the first season, you're like, oh, they tease like now. Ooh, think of the excitement for that second season. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But I agree with what you're saying. Cody follow-up. He did. He says, yes, sir. Not nearly as active over there as the main channel, but it'll probably be around 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, well, there you go, folks. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. Head over to Cody Leach's gaming channel. It's called again. It's called Game Chamber. Game Chamber. Head over there. Subscribe to it if you're a gamer. Cody is going to be tackling Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Grab your popcorn, get naked. I mean, that's optional, but there's nothing wrong with being naked. It's not like he can see you. It's just you can get naked. You're just watching him naked. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but if that's how you want to do it. But head over there and make sure to check it out. I think I will definitely tune into that for sure. Lee the Machine Bowers says, hey, Dave, happy Friday, my friend. Happy Friday to you as well. Says, I'm going to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in theaters tonight. Oh, is the original playing in theaters tonight? That's amazing. I didn't know that. It's my second time seeing it on the big screen. Hope all is good. Thank you, Lee. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, I've never seen it. Oh, you know what? I should check my local listings, actually. Check your local listings. I've just dated myself. Rated PG-13. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. Do you remember that? If you're old enough to remember that, at the end of commercials on TV, the trailer or not the trailer necessarily, but the commercial would play. And at the end, you'd get, the guy going, rated PG-13. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. Rated R. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. That just simply means check the back of the newspaper to see when the movie's playing in your area. Rated PG-13. Check your local listings for details. And usually it was like a local affiliate voice. It wasn't the trailer voice. Right? It was a local affiliate. So you'd have like, you'd hear like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that was, something at that time would be like, like 7, like you'd see it 7. And then you'd hear like, rated R, check your local listings for details and showtimes. You'd hear just this random local TV affiliate who was hired. Hey, Dave, Bob, we need you to put this at the end of these things here. That's exactly what would happen. 7. Rated R. Check your local listings for details and showtimes. Remember that? You guys remember those days? I can't be the only one that remembers those days. Maybe they still do that. I don't know. I have no idea. Not entirely sure. Cody follows up and says, Freddie is the neighbor and friend of Saxon. Yeah. Who he discusses the case with, like Hannibal, and Will Graham relationship. Ooh, not bad. That's interesting. That's fascinating. But you could do that because, see, this is what's fascinating. I like that idea, actually. What's really cool about this is that because we have breadcrumbs, we have a basic, and I know that there's been other things, but basically we have a basic foundation, right? A basic foundation with little bits and bobs of Freddy Krueger's past, like Jason Voorhees, right? We know that Freddy was a child murderer. He worked at, the school, the boiler room. We know little bits and bobs, but it's not fleshed out. It's not concrete. It's not fleshed out. There is a world of wonderful stuff that you could flesh out, make dark and scary, that I think would be really awesome. And I think personally, if you want to go back with Freddy, if you want to go back and have a build up and a lead up to the Freddy we know, I think streaming's probably your best bet. Now, I don't know if that's Netflix or Hulu, Apple. I've no idea who would be right for that. HBO, Max. It's not HBO Max, but whatever. Max. I think that would be the right thing to do. If you want to go back. If you just want to go ahead and start kind of like where you were with the original Elm Street, right? Like maybe you're remaking it, you're telling it for a new generation and a new audience, but you're already sort of thrust. He's already dead, he's already burned, he's already haunting dreams, very much like the original. Then I think, why not just make it theatrical and just make it a really compelling, dark, creepy film? You know what I mean? And maybe A24 might want to take a crack at it. I don't know. But if you want to go back and really flesh out the backstory, then you got to make it a series. You got to make it a series for sure. And I think that might be some compelling drama for sure. I like that, Cody, where he's like, he's the neighbor. You know what I mean? He seems like just this unassuming guy. Like, hey man, what's up? He might be a bit, quirky or, whatever, but there's nothing that immediately lets Saxon know, or Saxon's character, obviously, Thompson know that, you know what I mean? But then he starts to kind of, the drama that could play out over like 6 to 8 episodes, 10 episodes, my God, and the town gets involved. It's a dark series. Like there's nothing campy about it. It's dark. It's a serious, creepy series. Might be interesting. Super chat comes in from Sil Maryland, I think it is. Don't my glasses again. Sends in $5. Says, Dave, they should cast you in the Nightmare on Elm Street show. Can't wait to see Dylan's new Nightmare. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Well, it all depends on what direction they want to go in, right? And what's going to happen. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Yeah. Dylan's new Nightmare, I think, releases I got to find out. You actually may be getting an exact release date even today. I'm not sure. But it'll be the end of this month, as far as I know. I'll just be happy to have it out there. It's been so long. It'll be great. Hey, Lee the Machine Bowers has become a channel member here, or a member of the channel. Yeah, I guess a channel member. That makes sense. Level number 2. Thank you so much, Lee. Lee the Machine Bowers, one of our great supporters here on the channel. Of course, one of our great supporters for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Thank you very much, Lee. I really appreciate that for joining the channel. Yeah, hey, look, if you're just tuning in, if you're watching after the fact and you want to become a channel member here on the channel for exclusive perks, exclusive shows, exclusive images, badges, emojis, contests. I want to do contests as well. Giveaways and things like that. I want to do that. Again, the channel membership's only been live for 12 days. So again, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, but I have some things I want to do with it. And so far, so good. I think we're up to, with the 2 members we gained during the stream today, I think we're up to like 72 members now, which is amazing. I would love to be at 100 members by Halloween. That's the goal, to be at 100 members by Halloween. So if that is something you might be interested in, the link to the channel membership is at the top of the chat. It's also in the description as well if you're watching after the fact. Thank you, Lee. Really, really appreciate that. Thanks very much. Happy Sanjo sends in another super chat, sends in $2 and says, you going to H45 or does IMB2 interfere? Not 100% sure yet. I'll know more next month. There's a couple of things that might interfere with It's Me Billy or with the H45. I'd love to go, but not 100% sure yet. It's not looking like I will be able to go, but I'll know more next month. Was that all the super chats? Just go back here and see. Just want to make sure. I believe Happy Lee, so Jason, John. Yes. Okay. It is. It is, folks. It is. It is. Tis. Evil Alex is Dave as a human Fred playing a creepy child killer. That promo pic from set of you from It's Me, Billy, where your grin into the camera already has that vibe. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, that's the Shining pic, right? That's that Shining pic. Yeah. That's from, I should post, you know what? I'm going to post that again today on my social media just because I love it. It's such a good pic. Yeah, that was actually from our camera test. That was from our camera test. That was not from the set of It's Me, Billy. That was actually from our camera test day at White's in Toronto. White's is William F. White International. It's called White's for short, but William F. White, which is the name of the guy. That's where Bruce works, and we were there doing a bunch of camera tests. That's where we rented all of our gear and lighting and camera packages and all that kind of stuff. When we were there in October of 2020 doing camera tests, and Greg we were setting up some lighting and things like that, just running some tests. And I was subject A, and I just was there, and I could see myself on the monitor, and I just started to do that smile, just that smile, whatever. And because of the quality that, because that's a still frame from the Arri Mini, right? And it's not even treated. It's not treated. Like there's no, color correction or anything like that. I mean, the dynamic range on these cinematic cameras, whether you're shooting on the Arri or the Red or, what have you, I mean, the dynamic range is just, there's reasons why they shoot Hollywood films with these cameras, right? And we were fortunate enough to shoot our film with the Arri Mini, and the plan is to do that again with Chapter 2, obviously, to keep the consistency. And of course, we shot with Master Prime lenses as well, which are some of the best lenses in the world. And so we were testing out with those, but it was just funny because the quality is so great too. You know what I mean? And no, it's a great image. I love it. I've posted it. It's actually the main image on my Instagram. It's my main profile pic, and I haven't changed it in a couple of years. But every now and then I share that picture across social media. So I think I'm going to do that today after the stream, because it's, I've shared it before, but it's always a good one. It's always a good one. But yeah, no, some people have said that. Some people get, Jack Torrance from The Shining vibes. Definitely can see that. And then some people have said, oh, I could definitely see a little bit of, maybe like a, unburned Freddy Krueger in there. And yeah, for sure. I could play that role for sure. I mean, I don't look like Robert, obviously, but I certainly could play that role. Like when I slick my hair back, when I slick it back, I have a high forehead, right? Now, when I just gel my hair or whatever, it doesn't look like that because, the hair kind of falls down. But if I slick my hair all the way back or something like that, I have one of those sort of like high forehead. So that could, that's got more. I don't have his nose, mind you, but certainly it could give off that vibe. But I'd have to, just my curly hair, not necessarily, just the way my hair is naturally, not necessarily. I'd have to wet it and like brush it back or something. Then you'd get a little more of that vibe. But yeah, no, it's a great picture. It's a great picture for sure. Trig1017, one of our great channel members here, sends in a $5 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, have you thought about Leatherface being the only singular human villain out of the classic franchises? I'm a diehard fan of the OG and 03 remake. Have you thought about Leatherface being the only singular human? I see what you're saying. I haven't, but I get what you're saying, and that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. I never thought about it like that, but it's true. Now, mind you, Michael would be the next. Michael's the tricky one, right? Because he is a human being. Freddy was a human being. He's a dream demon. Jason, Jason don't know what he is really. He's a zombie, I guess, by Friday 6, but even before that. Michael, again, it depends which version of Michael we're talking about. But Michael isn't literally, like, see, Michael's more nuanced, right? He's not literally supernatural, like fully supernatural. You know what I mean? He's not. Or he would be Freddy Krueger or Jason. There's a human element to him, even when you get into part 4 and 5 and 6 where he's, you know what I mean? But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And there's some truth to that. I haven't really thought about it. No, that's actually a good point. But that's a good point. It's a good point. Christian Blizzard says, hey Dave, will you be attending Mad Monster August 25th, 27th in Charlotte, North Carolina? Well, if they ask me to go, sure. No, but no, I'm not at a level yet where I get invited to cons. But if I ever was and they paid my way, and sure, I'd go. Why not? But no, I will not be there. Warren Armour says, I saw two twins in Walmart last week walking down the hardware aisle with machetes on it. I immediately turned around and walked briskly away from the cutlery. I think that's probably a good idea, Warren. You don't want to, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You certainly don't want to, get too crazy. Okay. Happy Sanjo. Trig. Let me just go back over here. So I want to make sure. Okay. Not missing any other super chats. Just making sure. Yeah. And again, if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We'll dive more deeper into this next year when it's the 50th anniversary. But the game releases today. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game releases today. Skeletor is excited. Hey man, you boob. It's a great insult. Let me see. Lee the Machine Bowers, that green highlighted name looks good on you, sir. Says, my friend rented out a theater. Oh, really? That's amazing. That's so cool. My friend rented out a theater, so we're having a Texas Chainsaw Massacre night with me and a bunch of friends, and I just downloaded the game for PS5. Can't wait to play it. Oh my God, Lee, I am jealous. That'd be so cool, man. That'd be so cool just to rent out a theater, I've never thought to do that, rent out a theater with a bunch of friends, just go and watch, that's so awesome. Well, have fun tonight, man. Have fun. Have a great time. That's so awesome. That's so great. Mendel Goodman, one of our great channel members, says, hey, Dave, I just saw your first live Saturday night sit down. Again, do you remember your first live vid? My first live Saturday night sit down? Well, it probably would have been either in 2017 or 2018. Yeah, it probably would have been, or no. It was probably, are you talking about the Halloween one? That was 2017. The one where I was in my basement. Well, I am in my basement right now, but where I was out there and I put up and I was watching Halloween. I was streaming it from my phone. It's got over 50,000 views. 50,000 views. And there's a lot of comments that are like, we can't see the movie. What's going on? This is what gets me into trouble with people. People think I'm an arrogant, pretentious, condescending prick. Well, you can't please everybody, right? People are going to like you. People are not going to like you. That's the way it goes. I haven't revisited those old streams in a long time. Wait, what are we at here? We're at an hour. No, that's not bad. Let me see. I'll start to wind things down here in a second. Just scrolling back. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any Texas Chainsaw stuff. Okay, a lot of people saying they're going to buy the game and play it tonight. I think that's really cool. Frosted Moon Tips, amazing, says there's a fantastic Freddy fan film called The Last Dream of Detective Coleman that covers a bit of Freddy before he died. Really good stuff. Yes, I was tagged in this. I've got to watch this. I was tagged in it from Davey Deathray, and I saw that... I've seen that people are talking about it, and it's done by Paul Bailey and his brother, I believe. And Paul Bailey did a fantastic Freddy cosplay from a few years ago. He's a makeup effects guy, and he did this fantastic Freddy cosplay where he made himself up to look very similar to what Robert did in part 2, right? Which is my favorite Freddy. And he looks spectacular. Like, just look, like the makeup job he did and everything, and just, it looks like he's got, the right build. And I don't know how tall Paul is, but he looks fantastic. He looks fantastic. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. He looks fantastic. And so they've done a Freddy fan film called, The Last Dream of Detective Coleman. Interesting title. And I believe his brother plays a detective, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen sort of the thumbnails. I've seen people talking about it. And what I've been able to gather is that Paul, because he's a makeup effects guy, Paul has made himself up, and it's a story that takes place before Freddy is burned, right? So he makes himself up to look more like Robert, a younger Robert. Now, I don't know how much Paul naturally looked like. I don't know if Paul has the receding hairline or the long. I'm not sure what. Maybe he does. And that's cool. That's amazing. But he's also got, he made himself up. I do know this, that the nose that you see on Paul in the film is not his real nose. He's made a prosthetic nose to look more like Robert. And I think he did something on the cheeks too, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever. Anyway, the thumbnail looks like a young Robert, but that's the point, right? He wanted to make himself up to look like that. And apparently he's fantastic in it. He's fantastic. So I think that's really cool. I think that's awesome. And there are people out there saying, oh my God, Paul, he should be the next Freddy. And I'm just like, dude, you know what? There it is. There's another example, right? Of another actor. Now, not that Paul's an actor necessarily. I don't know if he's an actor by trade, but certainly another example of somebody else can do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's now, again, I haven't seen the film, but this is the general consensus I'm getting. So I've got to watch it. Maybe I'll watch it after the show today and give my thoughts. Cause I think that's great. I think to see such passion because I hear it's like nearly 40 minutes long or something like that. So anyways, I don't know Paul. I've never spoken to Paul. I'll see if he's got social media. I'm sure he does. But shout out to Paul Bailey and his brother. By all accounts, I hear it's fantastic. And Paul, your makeup effects and everything are just amazing. Like, I mean, what you did, and I think he applied it himself. I don't know how. Maybe he just did it in the mirror, I guess. I don't know if he had help. If he applied that himself, that's equally as impressive. Just amazing. So yeah, shout out to those guys. I got to check that out. I hear it's fantastic. Thank you for the reminder on that, by the way, too. Ba-da-ba-ba, beep, 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 beep. Let me see here. Dream Villain says, Dave, big shout out to Wolfman Scott Nards for his 50,000 subs. Yes, shout out to Wolfman Scott Nards for his 50,000 subs. Fantastic. All right. What is it? All right. We'll go another 5 minutes. We'll go another 5 minutes and then I will skedaddle because I do have actually a few things I need to do today. Keep getting text messages. So I have to do that. I have to do that. I have to do that. Okay, no, that's not urgent. Just an email from my agent, but it's not urgent. Let me see. What's this? Oh, I got that one. Got that one. Rosalia says, I love it, Dave. Don't change ever. You love it, don't change ever? What did I do? Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. Hey, Edward Nito, one of our great channel members, and of course, my Godzilla brother from another mother, sends in a $10 super chat, says, Sup, Dave? Hope all is well, man. I enjoy these conversations. I don't get to talk horror Godzilla with anyone because my friends aren't horror Godzilla fans. I think I remember you saying that, yeah, when we met at in Arizona. I'll be playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Xbox tonight. You lucky some bitches. You lucky some bitches. I have no way of playing it. I sold my PS4 a little. It's because I wasn't playing it. I gotta get a PS5. I have to get a PS5, ladies and gentlemen. If I get a PS5, the Texas Chainsaw, I still want a Halloween video game. Maybe I should update that. Maybe I should do a video. It's the Halloween game that I want. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I just don't think it's ever gonna happen. You know, I won't get into it too much here, but my idea, my Halloween game is epic. And I think everybody would love the hell out of it. But there's just no way. It would cost way too much money. And the rights and it's just too much. It's too much. Too much. Grand Theft Auto, open world. Halloween. That's what I'm talking about. You know, open world, you know, you got to unlock certain Myerses and masks. You can play as Loomis, you can play as Laurie, you can play as Michael, you can drive the station wagon all around Haddonfield, you can drive down the highway to Russellville, you know, you can go to Smith's Grove, you can go into Smith's Grove. Like, I'm talking about open world, not just one street, not just one town. I'm talking open world, Halloween. Anyways, I've said too much. I've talked about this before, but I got to save it maybe for an updated video. But that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, have fun tonight, dude, playing that game. You'll have to let me know how it goes. Lee says, Dave, if it wasn't far away, I'd invite you to the movie. Lee, if you weren't far away, I'd be there. I'd be there. I'd be there with bells on. So you know where I'm coming from. Or you know when I'm coming. You know when I arrive. Cling, 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 cling. You know when I would arrive. You know when I would arrive. Let me see. No, I got that. Just like to go back, make sure I didn't miss anything. I don't believe I have. No, Lee's a new channel member. Okay. Yeah, final reminder, folks, if you're watching live, channel membership is live on the channel. Want to get to 100 channel members before by Halloween. We're at 72 now. Amazing exclusive shows, perks, images, polls, all that kind of stuff. We're 12 days in and we're on fire. We have our first member-only show next Tuesday night, I believe it is, which is an all Q&A for members. So, and there's other shows as well. So check it out. Pinned to the top of the chat. And also a link in the description. Kenny525 says, today would be my grandpa's 93rd birthday. Wow. It's been 25 years since he passed. That's amazing. Would have been 93. Wow. Yeah. My dad would have turned 81 this year. My dad would have been 81 this year. My mom would have been 79 this year. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of McRae Live. Thank you to my great moderators, Frank Riker, Tab of the Shore, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Cody Snyder, and Andrew Stevens, and to my honorary mod, Cody Leach, who made a little pop in and talked about how he's going to be playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game tonight on his gaming channel. So if you don't follow Cody Leach on social media, make sure you do. I'm sure he'll be posting about it. He's going live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time playing the game. I'm going to be tuning in. I got to check that shit out. So make sure you check that out. Folks, have a great rest of your Friday. It's Friday. Happy Friday. And let me know in the comments section your thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day, and the video game was released today. Will you be playing it? Maybe you won't be playing it. I don't know. But jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I will be back very soon. Maybe on Sunday. Maybe I'll do a Sunday Q&A show or something. I don't know. Can't promise anything, but maybe I will. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Have a great rest of your Friday, folks. And I will... Oh, and thank you to the Super Chat questions that came in today. Really appreciate that. And our new channel members. Thank you for joining the McRazies here on the channel. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I will talk to you all very soon. Alrighty. Cheers.